Hey everybody, welcome back to the Miser's Guide to Evony. In this consultation video, I'm going to be looking at a player who just wanted some general advice on how they might go forward. They're on a server that's in the late 700s, so it's fairly new. They're at Keep 35, and they're just, looking on how they might get a little bit into PvP, what they want to do, because they don't have a lot of experience necessarily with that, and they want to try their hand out at server as a server and get into the battlefields and so on. So they want to be in a place where they're going to be successful rather than go in and lose everything, because that's what happens in this game if you're not prepared. So I'm going to help that player out by going through with that in mind. So they're in a pretty good position right now for this server, this age of this server. 700 million power. It's not top 5, top 10 or so, but it's not far from there. I think when I looked, it was like 12th or so. So not bad, but that's, keeping in mind that there's obviously going to be some players that do pump a lot into it. So I don't think that they are a heavy spender. Clearly they're a spender because they're at VIP 16, and I can see a lot of the rewards and stuff that spenders would get, but they're not like one of those crazy VIP 20 spenders. Still, they've put in quite a bit. So they do have a lot that is going to enable success in PvP, and we're going to look at that. Let's start off looking at the equipment and the general, since the focus area for this player is PvP, getting ready for PvP. So I'm going to first look at their wall general. They were using Leonidas, I believe, from what I saw before. Where are you? I think I must have passed. There we go. Leonidas. Leonidas is a good general. Really good general on the wall. I think there's a couple other options for wall generals here, but there's nothing wrong with the Leonidas. Buffing the in-city ground attack and HP by 30%, ranged attack by 25%. That's very strong. The only other option that this player could potentially go with for a wall general would probably be, I'm pretty sure they had some other options here. We have no. Oh yeah, William Marshall is another good option. Ground troops, mounted troop HP by 20%, in-city ranged troop and siege machine attack. This might be a slightly better choice, just because I know that this player did mention that right now they're a boss killer, so they have higher cavalry than other troops. So, buffing that mounted HP is super important. But the difference for just that book is not going to be all that much. So if you've already worked on the Leonidas, I would probably stay with that. But if you do down the road want to change it up, William Marshall, you already have William Marshall, is another excellent choice. And you could probably even work on both and play around with whichever one you prefer. Okay, so let's look at this wall general, because to be successful in PvP, you want to have a really strong wall general, so you can be very defensive, in addition to, of course, your PvP marches. But let's first look at this wall general. So it's 5-starred, level 33. Is that the current Monarch power? Yeah. So that is where this player is at, level 33. And I'm going to go back to the Leo. All right. So what I noticed right off the bat here is, look at these numbers. 924, 1242, 1287, 811. Those don't look fully cultivated to me. I mean, it's not a level 35 and above general, so it's lower numbers than I'm used to seeing, but they're not rounded. You know what I mean? Like if it was fully cultivated, I'd expect like 1250 and above of leadership, attack, defense, and politics. But you have leadership and politics that are falling behind. And that tells me a couple things about the cultivation of this general. they've worked quite a bit on the attack and the defense. You got 451 and 423. So those need to go up to 500, obviously. But I also see that the leadership and the politics were not touched at all. And just looking at the words leadership, attack, defense, politics isn't enough. You have to look at what actually happens when you increase it. So like looking at leadership, subordinate city training speed doesn't matter. Yeah. The march speed doesn't matter for wall general, but troop HP definitely matters a lot. So that leadership being only at 84 is a huge disadvantage here. You definitely need to get that up to 500. You need the attack up to 500, defense up to 500, and even in the politics here. I mean, politics isn't as important as the other three for the wall general, but I would recommend getting all 4 of the stats maxed to 500 for every single general, with the exception of gathering generals where you really just need politics. And even this politics, the troop death to wounded, if you get hit in server versus server, you're going to want that. You're going to want that to be as high as possible so that not everything gets killed, a lot of things get wounded. And just in PvP in general, it's very useful. The only time it's not useful is in Battlefield because you get your stuff back anyway. But you definitely want all 4 on every single general except a gatherer. Also, cultivating everything will increase the power of the general, which you need to unlock for getting to keep 36 and so on. You need to do that. It increases the power and the effectiveness of generals all across the board. So definitely cultivate everything on every general except your gathering generals. Okay. What else can we look at here? So for this general, let's take a look at the gear. All right. Achaemenid looks like a 6-piece of Achaemenid. That's perfectly fine, especially since I'm guessing this player, since they're on a newer server, they don't have all the materials to fully equip all of their subordinate city mayors with Achaemenid yet. Probably not. We can take a look, but that would be my guess. So having a full set to get that enemy troop attack minus 15, that's a good choice. I'm guessing that the player also doesn't have all of their Ares unlocked. We can also take a look there. So 6-piece Achaemenid is a good way to go. Eventually, you might, when you fully worked on your subordinate cities, you could change that to like a 4-6, a 4-2 between Ares and Achaemenid, just to buff stats. But 6-6 is perfectly fine right now. I do notice that the power of the general is very low. And I'm thinking that what is contributing to that is the refinement. Like, look right here. It's true that you don't need to refine Achaemenid when it's on a mayor of a subordinate city, but that is not true for your wall general. So this wall general needs some serious refining. For refining a wall general, let's take a look here. I was given free reign by this player to do whatever I thought was best, so I'm going to do that. And I'll also point out that right now it is super refining event. So getting a lot of refining done right now will enable you to get some ranking rewards, and then you'll get things like tactic scrolls, which you don't need yet, but you will need very soon. And dragon source fragments, and you can redeem it for other stuff. So refine at the right time, do a lot of refining during this event, and then you can get rewards for it. Okay, let's go look at that Leonidas again, and we're going to work on, I'm just going to do 1 piece of gear right now. So just to give an idea of what we might do. All right, so if I'm doing the helmet, that means I'm going to be getting HP stats. All right, and what I'm looking for a wall general is really, really high percentages or really, really high whole numbers of every single troop type. Now, the most important ones for me, the ones that I will definitely take, are mounted HP and ground HP. But if I get a really high ranged or siege, really high, I'll keep those 2. You just want to get good stuff is really the answer. So let's take a look here. We're getting garbage so far, and it does take a lot of time to get something useful. What I like to do for my refining is I'll be very, very picky for the first stat. So I'm not taking anything yet. I'm not worried about locking anything because I haven't gotten anything good yet. 17.7, that's not even the right. That's stone gathering. Not very helpful. 17%. I don't really need to save any of this because I'm going to go. I mean, he has 331,000 refining stones, and he's got enough gold for me to do this. So, all right, it's getting better. You know, it's going to fluctuate. The ground troop HP, 2134 out of 2924. I'm not going to keep that. It's a good number, but for my first refine, before I start to lock, I want to make sure that I get it as high as possible because once I lock, instead of rolling 4 times, I'm only rolling 3 times. And it costs gems. So I want to get that first one to be as good as possible. Click through. No. Hopefully it doesn't take too long, but it'll take what it takes. Mounted HP. I wish a little bit higher. That would have been really solid. No. And bear with me because this could take a while, but I have a feeling that this will be useful to see for a lot of people out there. Refining is just such a pain. One of the worst parts of this game is refining. No. And I want to make sure I'm not too quick at clicking because there's more than a few times I had like a 25 on the dot and I clicked it and I'm like, oh God, because it doesn't look like a big number because there's only two numbers, right? Instead of the larger. Okay. See this mounted troop HP? 1821 out of 1978. Now, that is pretty good. I don't know if I want to keep it. Like, it's a tough call. That's like borderline. I might want to keep that just to move on. And just because if this was a civilization piece, I wouldn't accept that for my first one because civilization, I only get 1 piece. But if this Fearless Achaemenid helmet doesn't turn out to be perfect, and I get it good, but it's not perfect, I can just make a new one and do it again. And then throw this on something else, like a subsidy general. But I think 1821 is a keeper. I think that's pretty good. So whole numbers on a wall general are perfectly fine. They're excellent for layers. So that might be what I keep here. 19.8% is not good enough for range troop HP. So I'm going to go with this and go forward. Going to get costly on gems. So let's start picking. For my second one, because I'm now paying 2,000 gems each time, I'm going to be slightly less picky. But not to the point where I'm going to take 1469 out of 1978. I'll take something around 1800 again if I get it, or one of the high numbers here, or in terms of percentage, if it's 21 to 25, I'll take it. But if I'm picky, then it'll allow me to roll more times while I still get multiple rolls, if that makes sense. All right, let's keep going here. Range troop HP, 924 out of 1246. That's not terrible, but I don't value range HP quite as high as the others, so I'm going to keep looking. Ooh, 1.2% siege HP. That's not a keeper. Not a keeper. That was garbage. And terrible so far. This refining system. I hate refining so much. Okay, I'm going to take that. All right. 22.2% mounted troop HP. Let's take that. That's a solid pick. Now it's going to get a little more expensive. All right. Now that I'm at 2 locks, what I'm going to do, and it doesn't matter to this person right now because they have 324,000 refining stones, and they have lots and lots of gems, 4 million plus. So I'm not worried about that. But if it was my character and I knew that I was running out of gems or gold or something, what I would do is I would not lock this, but I would keep it here. And then when I refine, now, unless I get something great, I'm going to cancel so that I keep my original stats. So I'm going to keep it with those ones that aren't terrible and then keep flipping back and forth until I get something. Now, do I like this more than this? Yeah, I do. So I'll keep it. Nope. Ooh, yes. Oh, I like that. 24.5% mounted troop HP. Let's lock that before anything happens here. Okay, this helmet is looking good. This helmet is looking very good. It doesn't, like I said, I would take mounted. I would take ground that are high. Even siege and ranged, I would take those too, but I value the mounted higher. It just turns out that the mounted is really happening for us today. So that's good because this player really needs to buff that mounted HP. What that does is it just makes it so that the mounted troops are less susceptible to archer attacks. So if you get hit with a solo archer attack, you're not going to lose all of your cavalry right away. They might stand up pretty well against it. But you do want to get your mounted troop HP to be closer. These days, you need it to be 1,000 plus. It used to be like 700 or so was a good place to be. Not safe, obviously, because Cav is an easy troop to pick off, but you did want that as a minimum. Now you want a minimum of like 1,000 at least mounted HP to be even slightly competitive here. But that's on older servers. On a newer server, I haven't played a whole lot on newer servers, so I don't know. But higher we get, the better. Come on, we need that 4th one. I hate clicking this last one because each time I'm doing this, it's 6,000 gems. It's ridiculous. This system of locking is so garbage. The amount of gems that you plow through for this, and it's not like, I feel like the way to fix this, I mean, there's so many ways that they should fix this, but the simplest way to fix this is every time you lock, it costs more in gems, sure, 2, 4, 6, fine, but it should also increase or raise the lower bounds of the refines. So when I click this here, I still have, I could get subordinate city training speed or whatever, but the minimum that I should get is 15%. Minimum. It should be raising by 5% every single time I click a lock because this is stupid. This is so stupid. Range troop HP, I'll take that. It's a little bit better than the ground one, but I'm not satisfied. I want this to be a good piece of equipment for this guy. Man, it's not as good as the ranged, but is it more valuable? It might be. Ooh, tough choice. No, I'm going to keep that ranged. I'd really like to see a high percentage of something, or I would like to see ground. I'd like to see ground in there. That would be good. But we'll take what we get. It has to be something good, though. 774 is slightly better, but not good enough. Man, this is expensive. Sorry, guy. These things happen. It takes a very, very long time to get your stuff all set up. but we'll get you there. 10.5. All right, if I have to click a few more times, I might just cancel this because this is 6,000 every single time. Oh my God, I hate this. Come on, Evony. Do something for us. All right, I'm going to stop there. 1296 mounted HP. We'll just stop there. I'll take that. All right. All right. I said I was not going to work on other pieces, but I think I might actually come back and help this player out later because they need to work on that. But let's look at other stuff. So that's how I would deal with the wall general and the refining. Look, I used a couple 100,000 gems right there. All right. I did that one piece, but I think I might come and help them when the consumption speed up starts in a couple days, because then when I use the gems, I'll actually get rewards, and it will still be a crossover time of the super refining. So that would be the time to do it. I just wanted to demonstrate it there for this person and also for you guys in the whoever are watching the video. All right. So we did some refining. What else did I write here that I wanted to talk about? All right. So that was the wall general. Let's look at the PvP general, since that was the focus of this player. For PvP, you want to have one solid general for each troop type as a minimum. If I'm looking at this player, they have a lot of good options. They have Theodora, but that's a monstrous boss, and that's what they're using to kill bosses and stuff, and that's great, but that's not a PvP general. They've got a wall general here. They're using Edward the Black Prince as a archer general, and this is, in my opinion, not the best choice. Edward the Black Prince is okay. I mean, he's okay. There are worse choices, yes, but there are better choices too. And a lot of the better choices for archer generals are very easily attainable. I mean, you can just pick up Electra or Minamoto or something like that you can get them from the tavern now and from relics, and they're just so easy to get. Go with that. And I think I even saw that this player does have one of those. I believe it was a Minamoto. Yeah. And Minamoto isn't as strong in terms of raw power as some of the other higher end generals for archer attack, but he's very, very close. And the benefit to Minamoto is that you can use him not only offensively, but you could also use Minamoto to reinforce, which the other generals, their skill books don't work in that case. So he's significantly better when it comes to reinforcing, and he's only slightly worse to Electra and some of the other top ones when it comes to being purely offensive. And it's the same thing with cavalry general. Hannibal is a great cavalry general, and I think he was setting up Hannibal here. Yeah, so Hannibal's being set up here. But then he's also got Martinez. And when you look at where they end up after everything is finished up, they're very comparable offensively. Hannibal might be slightly more power. I'm not even sure if that's fully true. I think he's slightly more powerful offensively, but he's significantly less powerful than Martinez when reinforcing somebody. So there's more versatility in these kind of generals that are able to work both ways. Whereas like Hannibal, you look and it's increased mounted attack when attacking. Okay. Whereas this one is just when it's being used. So that's something to keep in mind. Same thing with the Scipio. Scipio is a fantastic general offensively when he's leading the army to attack. Defensively, not quite as much. There are better choices defensively. So that's a little talk about general choice overall, but really these are very minute differences. They do make a difference, but is it going to be a game breaker? No. You can choose either one. Either one can be very, very successful. Go with what you've got, what you have access to. I'm just saying that if it were me, I like versatility over raw power, especially when the raw power is comparable. Okay, so we've talked about the general choice. So I don't like Edward as an archer general. And I'm looking at the gear. There's a couple pieces of Achaemenid. There's definitely better choices for some of these pieces here, and none of it is refined. So there's a lot of work to go there. I'm looking at the Hannibal here, who's being set up as a PvP general for cavalry. Dragon armor is not great. It's not something you really want to refine all the way, because when you do refine this piece of equipment, let's do one as an example. If I refine this, you'll see that the percentages go up to 20%. But when this gets turned into Ares, it goes up to 25%. And unfortunately, and I really disagree with Evony on this one, if I have these and I keep them like this, and it's at 5.1, let's just say 5% range troop HP, and I convert my dragon helmet to an Ares helmet, you would think if Evony was, saying, oh, you put in some work into this, let me, maintain that, not even improve it, just maintain what you have already done. If Evony were to do that, then that 5.1% would scale up. So if it's 1/4 of 20%, 5% is 1/4 of 20%, then now that the cap is 25%, I would expect that to go up to 7.5%, right? Is that 1/4? No, it's not. Anyway, I would expect that 5% to increase a little bit so that it's the same as 1/4 of 25%. But unfortunately, Evony really just doesn't care about us. So they make you do it all again and spend everything again. They're like, screw you. You chose to upgrade your equipment. So now we're going to punish you by making you refine it all again. So dragon stuff, not worth refining too heavily. Especially, for a lot of players, you might just do what he did with the Achaemenid and go straight there, because at least you can refine it. But still, that's not even a good choice. I want to point out something here, and this is really important for people that spend a little bit on this game. You look at this player here, and they have not unlocked Wonder. You can see it here. It's locked and so on, but they have been purchasing a bunch. And what I pointed out to this player, they didn't know. What I pointed out to this player is you've got all these slots of civilization equipment that you have purchased these scrolls for. Not this one, not this one. But see, there's some here that are purchased. You can still do it. Yes, your Wonder is locked. And in your mind, you're thinking, well, if I don't have the building, I can't use it. Well, and I agree. Logically, you shouldn't be able to use a building that you don't own, which is why it's really incredibly stupid that Evony decided to put things like civilization equipment and treasure and stuff inside of the Wonder when lots of people haven't even achieved their Wonder, and they're thinking, oh, I can't do it. Civilization equipment and stuff should probably be in its own building, realistically. They should have just done a building to deal with civilization stuff. The museum, I don't know, some crap like that. But yeah, you have it locked, but you can still craft these. And I crafted one here to kind of show that. I said, hey, look, I'm going to make you the Farinkazan bracers that you have because they're fantastic, just to point out that you can do it. You have all these scrolls everywhere. Which ones do they have? There, see? They have a bunch of civilization equipment. Lots and lots. Way more than I do. And if they want to be setting up their PvP generals, don't refine that Achaemenid, don't refine that dragon, and don't refine the Ares until you figure out what you have for civilization, because that's going to be so much more valuable. It's way stronger, and the refines are going to be way higher, and it's going to have a much larger impact on your generals. Let me show you Scipio down here. So I made the Furinkazan bracers for this player, and you know what? I'm going to put on another piece of civilization equipment just to prove it to any people that are like, oh, I don't actually believe you. Let's see if we can find a good piece, and we're going to build up this player's ground. What do you have? Ground HP. Do I want to use that? No. Ground troop, mounted troop defense. I want something that is really, really, I don't know, a really straightforward one, because there a lot of these things you can choose how to use them. This. All right. So, oh, but he doesn't have this one. Oh, that's unfortunate. No. How about the Han? Did I already look at Han? Han is mostly mounted, but is there possibly something in here that we could use? No, doesn't even have that. Okay, in here, in troop defense. I probably should not have gone all out on that Achaemenid helmet now that I looked at this, because he's got the Choreo helmet, which should probably be on that general. Whoops. I'm sorry. My bad. Probably should have crafted this and used this. I didn't even check. Yeah, Choreo has a lot of great stuff for in-city. Should have done that. But at least I noticed that for this. So, ooh, yes. Choreo bracers. Attack range is going to be a big deal. All right, I want to get that one crafted. Okay, that's going to be my priority here. Hopefully you have these. Let's see. No, you don't have them. Oh, okay. Well, this is the next one you make. So when you are crafting your next stuff, make your Choreo bracers.
Hang on while I get connected to Wi-Fi.
Thank you very much, Google. Make this next. This is your ring, and it's slightly better than the Achaemenid ring in terms of the percentage for siege attack range when it's all 5-starred and so on. You do get, I think, an extra 5%. So you're going to grab that, and you're going to come over here, and you're going to put it on your Leonidas, because the range matters quite a bit. And then you can refine that. So definitely, that's why I didn't want to mess around too much with refining, because there's all that civilization gear, and the refines that we got on your Achaemenid helmet are fantastic. They're really good. And, you know, like this is a solid piece now. It's very solid. So you could use this. You could hold off on that if you find other pieces, but change this ring out with the one that I just showed you. And you'll get an extra 5% here on siege attack range, and then refine that. So find pieces of civilization gear that are going to have a home, and put them where they belong and refine them. Just like that Scipio. I got you your Furinkazan bracers, and we're going to star that. Use up all your gold to star that. And now we're going to put them on, because apparently bracers are considered rings. And here we go. So that is really good. Okay. 5-starred. This piece has higher power than a fully perfectly refined Achaemenid or Ares with 0 refining. It's absolutely nuts. 576. Compare it to like Dragon, 181. You know, as a base power. And then we go in and we start refining this thing, and because this is Scipio, it's going to be only ground that we care about, which makes it a lot harder than than a wall general where we can get anything. We need only ground here. Nothing else is valuable, and obviously not ground load. We're looking for ground attack because a ring and a weapon are just attack. So we're going to keep going until we find ground. 328. So for ground offensive here, because ground you want to usually hit with higher tier troops, so that's your 13s and 14s, and some 12s. You're not really using lower layers, so whole numbers aren't as good as percentages. They're not bad, but they're not as good. So we're going to keep going. We're going to look for some really high ground percentages. And we're going to drain this guy's gold. We're going to make these bracers look really, really nice. More whole numbers. I don't know if I'm going to do the whole thing, but I'll get it started. So what you'll notice here for percentages is the dragon went to 20. Achaemenid and Ares go to 25. This one goes to 30. So it's even harder, right? Because they don't raise that lower end like they should. They just leave it there so you can struggle more and more. The better piece you have, the more you're going to struggle to refine it. So frustrating. And they make it cost so much more. Like it's now costing 300 refining stones. Why can't that be 29.9% ground attack? Come on. Come on. Have some pity. Oh yay, ground load. Fantastic. And all our attacks are just whole numbers. Nothing wrong. If I get like a very close to perfect whole number for ground attack, I'd probably keep it because it's not that far away from percentages, but I'm mostly looking for percentages in this case. And two possible options, and they're both below 50% of. It's just terrible. At least they're rolling now. Come on. So I'm not too worried about this. I said I wasn't going to refine much because I didn't want to use the gems, but I'm not using gems, right? The first one doesn't use gems. It only uses gold. So I can go ahead and do this first one until I get something really nice. And then we'll lock it, and then I'm going to stop there. I won't do the gems because I don't think it's the right time. 404 out of 513 is not good enough for me. 17.9, not good enough. Come on. I think possibly the only thing I hate more in this game is cultivating. I despise cultivating. This is next to it. I mean, this one, at least there's things to look at. Cultivating is just, oh my God, it's just awful. It wouldn't be as bad if you could batch cultivate gold as well in the same way that you could gems. But, you know, that Evony doesn't care. Come on. Like nothing at all, even reasonable. 3.2 out of 30%. Yeah, thank you. I don't think I've had one that's above 20%. And I would not take anything unless it I think I would need it to be 20. I'm going to say lowest I would take is 27% for this first roll. 22.2. There's something. I really wonder how long this is going to take. Come on. 25.9. Just 2 more percent and I would take you. So close. I'm going to cancel them just in case I get tired. Come on. That was so close. 25.9. Come on. A lot of people would be tempted to, they would just say 25.9. I'm just going to take it because it's a really high number. Yeah, I mean, it is. It is a high number and it's a good number. But the problem that you'll face in the future is it gets really, really hard to get those last refines. And if you take something that is good, but mediocre good, that was actually a really good shoot. I canceled that earlier. I think I saw 501 out of 513. I probably should have kept that. That should have been one to keep. I'd still rather percentages, but that was high enough that I would keep it. What I was saying is it's a good number, but when you start locking, instead of rolling 4 every time and having that extra chance, you're lowering your chances of being successful in the next ones. So I've said this before in the video, but it's really important you're extremely, extremely picky with that first one and really the first 2. Otherwise, it gets so costly. Did I do it again? Holy crap. That was another one that was one I should have kept. It wasn't percentage. I'm looking purely for percentages, but I should have taken that. Oh, man. It was like a 505 or something. Oh, I should slow down. I'm going faster than I would usually go just because I don't want to watch this all night. Come on, give us something so we can move on with life. Okay. Nope. Saw a lot of 2s there, so, but not the 2s I was looking for. Come on. We're even running out of gold. This guy's going to log in and be like, where's all my gold? I had so much. And, it sucks, but refining is the most important thing in this game. Having good refines on your equipment, it's the most important. So gold means nothing. Gold means absolutely nothing. The only thing that matters is your refining stats. So yeah, I just used 400 a year gold, 400 million a year gold. But you can get that back with some Vikings pretty darn easy. But this is really what you need to do. So, unfortunately, we're going to run out of gold here. I'm going to go see if he's got more gold stashed away for a rainy day. Today's a rainy day. And then we will see if we can continue. Oh, aha, I stopped it this time. There. Now, 504. I'm not sure. I think that this is worse than the 25.9. I think that it is. Just because we're going to be using higher tier troops. But it's so close that I think I'm going to take it. I'm going to keep it. And we'll roll with that. I think that's a pretty good one to take. I would only ever keep this if it was above that 500. If it was 499, I wouldn't keep it. You know, like, and I think this player, yeah, they're going to have their tier 14s and tier 13s, but long term, they might use a lot of tier 12s and tier 11s in their attacks. So it's not like the whole numbers are bad. It's just that they're slightly less effective. They will be more effective against players that have really strong debuffs and less effective against players that have weak debuffs. So anyway, it's not a bad roll. We'll keep it there. This poor player is gonna be really sad that all their gold is gone. So I think we'll stop there. Here, I'll open these up to kind of pretend that I didn't use all their gold, although they're going to see this video and they're going to know, hey, where did all that gold come from? All right. But I know they did tell me that they do a lot of Vikings. So there's a ton of gold. All right, let's continue. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is. The best way to improve your account is refine. You just got to get that refining done. You got to be super picky. And I was extremely picky with the civilization gear because that you only get one piece of each. So you want to make sure that it's perfect. And it's going to take, every piece is going to take a lot of a lot of gems, gold to get it perfect, but you need to be perfect for it. You don't want to get to the end and realize, well, I've got a bunch of 20s and stuff that I kept because I was trying to rush it. You're going to be a little bit less effective at the beginning, but long term, you're going to thank me. Do it right the first time around. Make sure you do that refining very, very well. I'm talking a lot about refining and stuff in this video, but that's really because that's what this player needs. This player needs to get those civilization pieces crafted and refine the crap out of them, make them fantastic. And that will make these PvP generals super, super, super strong. Okay. And then let's look at how much we used here. So super refining, we are over here. I'm going to blur this out, but yeah, I mean, I used enough to be in first place here. They're going to get ranking rewards, and even if it changes and they're like in the top 3, top 5, it's still good. We can go in and we can use the points that we've earned, and I like to use them on some of the stuff that costs money. So I'll use it on all these treasure boxes. First of all, tactic scrolls, use it all there, and then whatever else. What we got, tons left. Let's go ahead and pump out some runestone chests. Really, we've got a lot. We can just spend it on most of this stuff. They're going to want those for a server. Let's get a bunch of resources. They still have a lot. 3-hour speed ups. Let's go with these. think we're almost out of points. You can buy these training ones. Nah, they do enough bosses. Let's pump these back out. There. Okay. That's the idea. I mean, it wasn't a very successful round, and that's just the nature of refining. Refining sucks. It's the worst part of this game, or second worst if you count cultivating. I actually, you know what? I changed my mind. Refining is the worst because cultivating, you can't be wrong. You know, everybody ends up in the same place with cultivating. You get to your 500 of each stat, and you know that's where you end, and you're done. But refining, I mean, you're going to get a lot of people just get to a couple percentages too low, and then they have to start again because it's just not good enough. Refining sucks. Let's just leave it there. Refining is terrible, terrible, terrible system in this game. I hate it. Okay, let's move on. We've been talking about equipment for a long time. Let's move on. I'm sure that was helpful to a lot of people. But man, I hate refining. All right. I did talk about I'm still talking about the generals because that's really the focus of this video. I did talk about cultivating the wall general and how important it was to do all 4 stats. We looked at that. Let's take a look at the PvP generals. I'm pretty sure they're not done. Well, this guy is right there. He's been working on all of it, and that's the right idea. You need to get that up to 500, but not with this guy. Let's drop Edward the Black Prince. But that's the right idea. You are cultivating everything. This one, oh, nope. He's doing the same mistake. He's going attack and defense only, and he's kind of leaving the others behind. This is just the accidental growth. You need this. You need troop HP. In fact, I think this might be the most important stat. This might be second. I think troop HP for Hannibal is more important than defense. You need to get that up. And you're going to want this up. You're going to want all of them. You need all of them. And I'm sure it's the same with all the generals, just focus on attack and defense. No. You need everything. All of them. So fix those. What else? I think that's about it for generals, thank goodness, and equipment. Plenty of stuff to talk about there. Buildings. The buildings were looking pretty good in terms of their development. Keeps at 35. A lot of their important buildings, some of the unimportant buildings are at 35, but the rally spots at 35, the academies at 35. Those are super important to follow up the keep. And then the next priority should be getting your tier 14s. So I can already see that stables is at 35. So that means tier 14 troops are unlocked for cavalry, and the focus was for most people is to do that because they want to do bosses. And you're with a higher tier of cavalry, you're going to be more successful. Absolutely. But you need to get these ones up too. So the barracks requires your farm to go up. That's a pretty easy one. So you can work at that, get that to 35. Remember, don't just do it at any time. Do this during resource consumption because it consumes a lot of resource and you're going to get rewards for that. So definitely do it then. Where is the workshop? Workshop is right here. So the workshop requires you to do the quarry. And you'll get that up to 35, no problem. The crappiest one is, where is it? Where is your archer? It's not like you put it in a weird spot. All right, archer camp. This is the worst one. So you're only one away from 35, but you've got to, instead of just doing like lumber, what do they call it? The mills. Instead of just doing your mill to 35 or your sawmill to 35 like this, and then, hey, that would make sense, right? Everything else is straightforward. But no, Archer, they say, hey, because this is called Archer Tower, we need it for the Archer camp. Like, the logic is terrible there. One building, that just doesn't make sense. So you got to get this one to 35, which means you got to get your walls to 35. Like it's awful. So you'll have to do your walls, no choice, and then you have to do your archer tower, no choice, and then you can finally unlock the worst of all, your archer camp 35 and those last tier 14s. In terms of building priority, that's what you want to do. Get those tier 14 all unlocked as soon as possible so that you can have those layers fully. You got all 4 tier 14 and everything below. You need that. Absolutely. All right. I did notice some other stuff looking through here. Your resource tiles are all at 35, which is phenomenal. A lot of people aren't there because it does, to upgrade each one is costly. Look at the army camp. It's comparable. You're into the hundreds of millions just to do one single tile of these kind. It's a lot. I do have some bad news for you though. And I'll say for everybody else, the player does not have alts, so they're really self-sufficient. The bad news is you've got way too many farms. I don't know what you want to do there, but you've got so many farms, which and farms produce more of their type of resource than anything else. I don't know what you want to do here, because let's look at your production. Your production, okay. I want to make sure everything is set. Let's okay, all this stuff is on, good. I'm going to offer once. I'm going to offer once just to, I don't know if it's active. It's active. So why was it slightly less? I saw it higher earlier. Oh, he probably had the crystal. That's what it was. I don't know what it is. Maybe Shajar? What's on your wall? When I looked earlier, this player's stuff, it was producing like 5 point something million food per hour, which is, man, is that a lot? Like, man, that is a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't know why it's a bit lower. Can't figure it out, but it was it was like 5.3. That is a lot. Man. Even this 4.74, like, you have to keep in mind that a lot of this food, if your food production is higher or lower than your upkeep, it means after you get past that threshold of what's protected, you're just burning food. So it's just wasted. You produce so much. You have 210 here. What is your amount that you have protected? 210. So literally right now, this player is producing food that is immediately getting consumed. 5 million. So your troops are wasting 5 million food per hour, which makes all of those farms produce 0. They're all producing 0 right now. You see a big number here, but this number should actually be 0 because that's what's being produced due to you just have too many. So this is a hard thing to solve. And it's why I really tell people that you probably want between 1 to 3 farms, because any more than that, it becomes, you produce too much food to actually, you get to your point where you're at that over the protected amount too quickly and you can't use it. And you get into this kind of situation, and it's not your fault. It's the stupid design of the game. It's really, really terrible. Why is it that food is, there should be, it makes sense that troops consume food, but technically troops should use wood and stone and all that stuff to maintain their weapons, or like it doesn't make sense. Even though realistically they need food to survive, I would just say eliminate that from the game. Honestly, food consumption is stupid because it doesn't make sense that right now we're at that place where they're at the food protected amount. My troops haven't eaten in 6 years. That doesn't make sense. So why not just eliminate it completely so we can actually make food again? And then it would make sense to have more. But, Evony is Evony. So 1 to 3 farms is probably what I'd recommend. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 farms that you could swap to something else. And like I said, this is a tough problem to solve. Here's a couple of ideas. You don't have alts. You might make alts and have the alts focus on other resources and spam this food into training ground troops and just really have a focus on ground. You're going to want to train everything, but if you just pump out a lot of ground, have constant tier 14 ground rolling through, and you might be able to use most of that food. But man, that's a lot of food. Another option is to find somebody in your alliance or somewhere else that wants a lot of food and just trade with them. Just say, hey, I'll give you 50 million food a day, and you give me I don't know, 15 million or 10 million of the other 3. I don't know, but right now, like I said, you're producing zero food, so that's not good. You definitely want to correct that. Okay, let's look at research. Research here. From what I saw earlier, the advancement tree was completely finished, which is fantastic. Advancement is very important. I think military was also finished completely. Military is an important one to finish, absolutely. Defense didn't need to be done as much as it. There's a lot of wasted stuff. What I mean here? Like, you didn't really have to finish trap stuff. Traps are useless, and you didn't have to worry so much about some of these other ones like advanced trap. Archer tower is a completely useless building. Capacity, like most of these things you didn't need. The only ones that are really important are these. The defending troop stats, these are important. So you probably could have done that anywhere elsewhere, but it's there. So let's move on. Medical tree. If you're going to be participating in server versus server, you'll want to get some of these important ones done first. Not necessarily the healing, but you'll want your revivals to be maxed out. You'll want your light of server war and the advanced one and all that to be done. Revivals again. Hospital scale, yep. You'll want those things to be ready because it costs a lot to bring back your troops when they die. So having this makes it a little bit easier. So work your way down there. It's not a high priority, but when you decide, hey, I want to do server, get my wings, make sure that this stuff is done. Alliance, you're doing fine here. I'd say do these ones, get these done at some point, but there are higher priority ones to work on. In other trees, don't worry so much about this. Most of this tree is not that valuable. There's only a few that are. These, get this done. This is a priority right now. Get this done to 3. And down here as well, all the ones that say like advanced in city, get them done. Get these done. You need to get those done as soon as possible. They're very, very important. And let me tell you why real quickly, in case people are watching and they don't know what this is for. Each subordinate city increases the troop attack when defending the main city. So you're always going to be defending with your subordinate cities. Let's say you have 9 subordinate cities, and this is at level 1. That means that you have 9% extra attack for every troop type. So your archers, cavalry, ground, and siege all have plus 9% attack. If you have this at 3, you have 27% attack for every troop type because you have 9 subs. And it's the same thing with the HP and defense. It goes up times 3. And then you have the advanced ones, right? And that's another 3%. So you're up to 6%. And then you have this one here, another 3. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's so important to have your subordinate cities active when you're defending or when you're soloing an attack. Okay, recovery, not a crucial tree to be working on right now. This one is probably where you need to focus most of your energy other than that subordinate one I just pointed out here. A lot of the troop buffs are going to be found in here, and you're going to want to be maxing these out, and you will also want to get all the debuffs finished up too. So those should be your other priority area for your academy. Let's take a look at dragons. So this player has unlocked 2 dragons so far. And what I'm seeing here is they're level 5 and 4. And you're going to equip on Hannibal. So, this is a dragon that most people would set up for Archer because there's not a lot of options for Archer dragons other than this guy, unless you unlock like later dragons for All-Stars or Wonder. So you're probably going to set this up as Archer. You could also set it up as ground, but not on Hannibal for cavalry. This is what you'd have for cavalry. Okay, you could have it as cavalry or a siege, but most people would put it obviously for cavalry because they don't work on siege, and most people don't work on siege until they're much bigger. So this Fafnir, first of all, you need to be working on the refining, and we need to get these up. I don't know what's happening here. You've already done some, you were trying to do some refining. You're going to be a little bit limited on badges and so on, but you're going to work on this, and you're going to get that to be mounted stats. HP and attack is preferable, so try to get your HP and attack for mounted troops. And this one, yeah, you're going to want ranged troop attack primarily, and you can have some HP and defense, that's fine. But just take really good range stats if you're going to set up on a range, but not Hannibal. Hannibal is not a range general. Okay, let's look at your talents. That was something that this player wanted me to look at, so let's look at your talents. They said that they had one that was for gathering, I believe, like gathering and resource production and that kind of thing. And then one that was for service to server. All right. So we're looking at this one. So by gathering and production, I'm guessing it's just like everyday stuff. So yeah, offering makes sense. You could have this on. I prefer to put on mortality just because for bosses, it makes a big difference. This is going to reduce the amount of wounded that you have when you are doing bosses by a lot. A lot. You definitely want that if you run bosses. If you never run bosses, resource production is a good choice. But I know you run bosses, so I'd probably say do this and have your everyday go from offering to mortality. But, maybe you don't do as many bosses as I think you do. So then resource production. Warehouse protection is fine. But, This is the same thing. If you run a lot of bosses and you're healing, you're going to want to go mortality and down to healing costs so you can heal your troops more easily. If you don't, then you could do resource production, research speed, and then back to troop load, because this isn't super important. I mean, warehouse protection is going to increase. It doesn't increase your food stuff, protected food. That's not what this is for. This is so that if you get zeroed and people take your resources, you'll keep 1,000,000 more of each resource, or a couple 100,000 more. It's dumb. Don't do this. This one is not very useful. Some of the stuff in here is not good. If you get zeroed, you're in trouble, and a couple million resources are not going to save anything. So don't worry about that one. Get research speed. It'll be beneficial long term, or if you do a lot of healing cost. Okay, stamina regeneration. You could do that. Sure. Resource critical. Sure. I go down here instead, and I go to subordinate city attack, because my everyday one needs to be prepared for PvP as well, because you never know what's going to happen. So I want to make sure my everyday has this. It makes a big difference. And then this is the one that I only use during consumption. So I have that as the secondary one, but you set it up how you want to set it up. I don't open boxes so often that I need this. I plan when I want to open boxes, and I switch. Gathering boost, sure. That makes sense. Troop upkeep, yeah. Training capacity. This is not as valuable as this. This is way more important. In-city troop HP is way more important than training capacity. All right. And then you had this one as like your PvP or server-to-server thing. March speed, sure. Mortality does absolutely nothing for PvP. This is for monsters and bosses. So that does absolutely nothing there. Archer Tower is completely useless. So even if you have 4 points and it's 60% increased, you're going to, if you get attacked by somebody, you might kill like a couple hundred more troops. It does nothing. Reduce cost of healing, sure. This might be more valuable, potentially, if you're attacking. I don't know. Because you can heal at any time, right? You can always, I want to heal, and you go back to your other one. So you don't necessarily need this, but this is more PvP. I'd probably say go there. Sure, resource plunder, you can do that. Server to server, you can take resources from tiles. Yes, this is the right choice. Training speed, sure. Hospital capacity, yeah. Good choice. In-city HP, good choice. All right. I do mine a little differently. Like I said, I have my everyday PvP and boss stuff here. And then this one is my specifically for when I want to do heavy research or heavy training troops or that kind of thing. Like the very specific things where I'm going to, for example, open up my resources and so on. I'll switch here so that 90% of my play is going to be in this tree. My everyday stuff is always in here, but there are many different ways to do that. That's just how I do it. It's completely up to you. All right. I've taken a look at talents. Troops is the last thing I wanted to look at in this video. I'm pretty sure only one tier 14 is unlocked yet. The Chinese cavalry here. So tier 14 cav is unlocked, and a good amount of tier 13. That's looking pretty solid for your size. Layers are not so bad. They're getting a little thin down here, so you might want to increase these lower layers. People really don't understand how good big layers are. They're so important. Like if you look at some of the battle reports in higher end play and people are getting attacked and so on, or getting rallied, a lot of the tier 14 and 13s, they're really strong troops, but they're the first to die because attacks happen from the top down. So if archers are sent at you, for example, the archers are first going to kill your tier 14 cav, and then they're going to kill your tier 13 cav, and then your tier 12 cav and go down, which means that these 12s and 11s and 10s are the ones that are actually going to get to attack if anything gets to attack. Your 13s and 14s are just dead. They just fall over. So the 13s and 14s are more valuable for attacking than being attacked. So you want to make sure that those layers are built up quite a bit better. Definitely focusing on the 12s and 11s, bring those up. And when you get your 14s unlocked, get 14s, get them to about the same size as your 13s here, and then you'll be pretty good. But I'd like to see layers of maybe like all the way down 500,000 of each, or a couple 100,000 of each at least, and then more of the 11s and 12s. That'd be a good place to go. All right, I think I'm about done with this video. It was much longer than I expected. I was planning to do like a 20-minute video, but there's a lot to talk about in this, and I think a lot of players will be in a similar kind of stage. So I thought I'd spend a little more time on this one. All right. So you'll see in that side, if you do want a consultation as well, then you can contact me by messaging TheMiserEvony@gmail.com, and I will go through your account with detail and take a look at areas that you can improve so you have more focus on what you want to do, which in my opinion is a lot more valuable than buying packs, because you can waste a whole lot of resources, waste a whole lot of time and energy doing the wrong thing, and then realize, whoops, I could have just asked somebody that has a bit more experience to guide me in the right direction. So it's up there. If you guys want some consultations, then just email me and I can make that happen. All right, guys. See you later.